Hi, and welcome to this quick tool review. This time around I'll be reviewing a couple of Inside Micrometers I purchased from Amazon. The company or the brand is Accusize, and Accusize is a company out of Canada that buys tools from all over the world, USA, Germany, Taiwan, China, and rebrands them as their own. In the past I've purchased some other Accusize products and they've been very good. So when I saw these available for the price they were, I was really interested and I picked them up off Amazon. So, standard machinist problem. You want to measure the diameter of a bore. So you take your telescoping gauge, put it in the hole at an angle, straighten it out, tighten it, straighten it out, pop it in a micrometer, and measure it. And 1.125. So the key with a telescoping gauge is being able to get that initial angle, locking off the telescoping parts of it, and then straightening it up so that under tension it pushes the arms in and finds the minimum. It relies on being able to get a decent angle. So what if I didn't have the depth necessary to get a great angle, like this, where I can just barely tilt it? In this case, my repeatability and accuracy might go down a little bit. You can even, in a pinch, use a telescoping gauge straight in a hole, relying on the spring tension pushing out, and tighten it and hope to get an accurate answer, but your accuracy and repeatability definitely go down. So there are limitations when the bore is shallow. If this was even any taller, I wouldn't be able to lean it at all, and that would be a problem. So that's where these guys come in. So these two micrometers are designed specifically to measure shallow bores, although I'm sure they have a bunch of other uses. When I received them, they weren't like this. There was a cardboard box outside this box. Inside, both the calibration rings and the tools themselves were in sealed plastic bags to keep them safe from humidity. So they arrived in very good shape. So the fit and finish is pretty decent on these guys. The measuring surfaces are carbide. In the case of the 0.2 to 1.2 inch model, it's a pair of carbide pins that are press fit into the end, so really not replaceable, not easily. The action is pretty smooth. I do have some issues with part of it, which I'll show you in a moment. The 1 to 2 has carbide pins pressed into the ends of the measuring surfaces and then ground to match the contour, I bet, of a 1 inch or smaller, slightly smaller than 1 inch diameter circle, so that they would be able to measure accurately something larger. The fit and finish is okay on this guy. You notice that the two jaws, just point of noticing, aren't exactly the same height. Makes kind of a squeaking sound, which means that the cylindrical surface here is a little out of round and rubbing. Other than that, they seem to work okay. To use them, you just insert them into the hole and ratchet and measure. And I'm getting 1.124 and a half. Now, one of my issues with this is the ratcheting mechanism. The amount of force it applies for each click should be a little more than the force it takes to rotate the spindle. Because here's what happens. So let's say I was really close to the end and I just used the ratchet here to line up the end. It's hard. It actually won't turn the spindle enough to get it to pull tightly against the outside. See that amount of force? I got to turn a bunch of times before it's actually in there, what I consider reasonably tight, to get my 1.124 and a half. Toyo has a design and a patent on their ratcheting design that they promise that the ratcheting mechanism applies a consistent force each click. So if you want to be really repeatable in your measurements, you would do the same number of clicks every time you reach the end. So you'd walk it in with the big guy and then finish it with the ratchet, and you'd go, say, 3 clicks every time to guarantee a repeatable measurement. And this guy just doesn't want to do it. It actually will leave a gap between the outer edge and the surface if I'm just using the ratchet to tighten it up every once in a while. So that's not good. Overall, I think they were a good price. The small one, the .2 to 1.2 model was $50 some, like 55, and the 1 to 2 model was 65 or so. The equivalent in a Mitutoyo would be about 230 or so for the small one and like 260 for the big one. So the difference is 120 versus 500 and something. Now these are not micrometers that I'm going to use every day, so although I'm a big fan of buying the best tools you can afford, I discovered pretty quickly in machining you can't always get top of the line unless it's your business, because as a hobbyist, I really can't put out that kind of money for my measuring tools. Now, if it was one of my micrometers that I use every day, like the 1 to 2 or the 0 to 1 mic, I would buy a better brand, like in this case, Fowler. I have Mitutoyo calipers and Brown and Sharp mics and some Mitutoyo mics as well. It definitely pays to get better tools, but sometimes you just can't afford it, so getting an acceptable tool is the next closest thing. So I think these guys are okay. I don't think they're as good as Accusize has done in some of their other tools, but they're functional, and I think I can get an accuracy of within a thousandth if I'm careful every time, which is acceptable. One more observation. If you look at the outsides of these boxes, notice that this is very, very similar, maybe identical even. This is a Fowler Unimic. And the quality of this guy is actually exceptional. I think it might have come from the same factory. The finish is very similar. The quality of this is better than the quality of these two guys, but the price was still reasonable. And I don't know, maybe Fowler put different constraints on them when they made it. I just thought that was a funny observation when I was going through my tools. So, any case, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you next time.